All right, we'll be buying support stocks. Thank you very much, Quickshot, Kadril, and Medic. I'm Drakos, joined by Vedius as we get ready for the first two games of the day. XL versus Misfits, a divided desk. Vedi, is it as close as they're making it out to be?
I think it can be, for sure. I think that one of the problems you have at the beginning of every year, especially, is when you have a lot of new teams, new players joining these new teams, you have kind of like unpolished rosters. You have a lot of inconsistencies, and you have a lot of performances where I really struggled to find trends from our teams, like after the first 2 weeks, because it felt like that what they were doing in week 1 was very different to what they were doing in week 2, and I imagine we're going to see a completely different look from them here in week 3. A part of it is
it's
who
kind
they're
of an
playing
unfair
against.
question with a 5-game sample size over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Misfits could look like the best team in Europe today. They could look like the worst. The same is true for Excel and just about any other team. But it's time now for picks and bans. Let's get it going.
We're just kind of awkwardly sitting on the slide.
It's like, nah, video guys, I'll wait for you to finish.
Yes.
You just take your time. Oh, you're not done yet? You want a few more? Okay, all right. Now it's our turn.
Now it's on. Let's go.
All right, Twisted Fate. Zoe banned away from Vetheo. No surprises there. The champion that he has looked the most comfortable on. Sadly, no other champion for him has come close yet. Good to see Excel take it off the board.
I'm feeling the groove. I love this music for game 1. We're going to see Zoe taken off the board. I love Zoe taken off. Specifically against Misfits, as you rightly said. The Twisted Fate going to be removed. Surprised that it is on the blue side. Perhaps something that Vetheo doesn't want to prioritize. But we're going to be seeing more and more globals. Interesting that the Camille ban is taken off the board. Obviously, some respect being shown towards Kryze there. We heard that fun story from Kadril just moments ago on the analyst desk. But I do feel like there are a decent number of answers to it. But perhaps right now, the current perception is she's like one of the best top laners. But, you know, we know about the Stone Plate and the Sterax combo and these bruises top lane. So, yeah, I'm curious as to how the top lane meta will evolve here in Europe, if we'll still stick with things like the Renekton's, if we'll see a little bit more Aatrox. We haven't seen a huge amount of it, but I imagine its prevalence will start to rise. We'll have to wait and see as we are jumping into first pick. I'm thinking about, well, that first priority could be Pantheon and Olaf, both currently up.
Yes, they are, Vedius. And I think it will be. Potentially the last patch we see a lot of these bruisers really abusing Gore Drinkers. It'll be nerfed, but reminder, we are on 11.2, so Gore Drinker is still just as strong as ever. Not quite as strong as you solo queue players might be used to now on this patch. And Kai'Sa going to be the first pick here. Seeing 2 high-priority jungles up and available, it looks like Misfits Gaming says, hey, you can pick which one you want, and we'll just take the other one.
Azir blind. That is surprising to me.
Yeah, really interesting.
I mean, he's inherently very good at anti-dive, and I know that Czekolad's, you know, his champion pool are things like Azir. He's also a very good Zoe player, big Orianna player too. Very big comfort picks for him. But to pick it blind is super risky, because Misfit's going to immediately answer with an incredibly powerful mid-jungle duo. Pantheon, LeBlanc, very easy to play around that lane, very aggressive early on the map. Very effective in side lanes too, and honestly a really good matchup into the Azir as well. So I'm a little worried about this Azir blind pick. The response of the Xayah is quite good, that self-peel, but yeah, very, very surprised, and we'll see if Misfits can pull off this early aggressive comp.
Yeah, and the trade of Kai'Sa versus Xayah is something I think we expect to continue seeing as we go later and later into this week. But now the options, you can ban away supports. Obviously, we've seen how powerful the Rel Kai'Sa duo has become domestically here as well as internationally. But for now, the focus on the Galio, limiting some of those global or semi-global options from the side of Misfits, because we've seen in games where teams can look very even, globals are often the breaking point where strategies start to fall apart.
Certainly the case. Very much agree with you. Galio, as you rightly said, taken off the board. The same respect being shown towards the Xayah Rakan bot lane. We still see things like the Leona and Alistar up, very prominent, powerful supports that have been picked pretty consistently throughout the split. They haven't really received any major changes, and right now I'm expecting them to be the priority unless Misfits XL want to take them off the board, and we have to dip a little deeper into the support pool.
And it's going to be very interesting to watch this 2v2 lane. We've kind of seen a lot of feast or famine performances from both these lanes. You remember Kobbe tumbling in level 1 is Vayne and dying. You remember Patrik and Torre losing out 2v2 to the Mad Lions. We've also seen pop-out performances. Patrik and Torre last week with the Xayah Rakan, the Rakan that's now been banned away, coming up clutch in lane to find these early advantages. So bot lane, somewhere where we have to put a decent amount of attention, and I'm wondering, do Excel go for the blind pick support here, or will they save that last counter pick for Torre? Nope, it will be the Leona, and, you know, pretty powerful. Makes a lot of sense.
I feel like you're just setting up for the rel here, though, from Misfits.
Oh, sure.
Perhaps it's something that XL are happy to play with. When you think about it, Xayah, Azir, Olaf, these champions function perfectly fine against a rel. You have the ultimate from Olaf to mitigate that. The ultimate from Azir, you dive on me, well, I'm just going to knock you away. The Xayah ultimate then to immediately mitigate. Perhaps these are why XL feel quite confident. That's probably why we're not seeing the rel right here. Instead, they're going to go for the Alistar. I think still a very good matchup. Can play very well into the Leona. Acts as that engage, acts as that face-checking frontline utility support. So we are going to see a little bit of stand. The question is, what's the blind pick going to be? We've really only seen HiRit on a few top lane champions. We've seen him on things like the Malphite. We've seen him on Renekton. We've seen him on Camille. I don't think he's going to blind pick Malphite here.
The Jayce, wow.
Okay.
Big commitment from Misfits Gaming to put this in the hands of one of their newer players, Jayce. Speaking of Feast or Famine, it very much is a character that either looks like it is unstoppable, you know, it looks like it's being played by the Shy and you're winning the game single-handedly. Odoamne had a fantastic performance on the side lane, or it feels like it's doing absolutely nothing. And if it falls behind, it is going to be a difficult road for Misfits here.
Is this the Aurelia? Kryze? Aurelia? Cho'Gath. Oh, wow.
Okay.
I was not expecting that at all.
Kryze has played 6 different champions in 6 different games now. The man has a champion Ocean. Sadly, the effectiveness of that Ocean remains to be seen, but I'm ready to see how the Cho'Gath matches up. Renekton, Gragas, Camille, Lulu, Ivern, and now the Cho'Gath for Kryze on the top side of the map. He's certainly got a lot of options up his sleeve.
Well, surface level analysis, team fight versus split push comp, right? You can quite clearly see the XL very good when it comes to grouping up. They've got a great scaling composition. They offer a huge amount of utility with both the Cho'Gath, the Azir to a degree, and also the Leona, whereas Misfits have very strong solo laners. Both LeBlanc and Jayce very easy to play around, and especially when paired up with a Pantheon who can use his ultimate to very quickly go from one lane to another, it's very easy to get these lanes going. The question is, can they get that early lead? We'll dive a little bit more into the comps when we actually get into the game, but it is definitely a bit of a clash of styles here as Misfits looking to continue their scrappy, in-your-face, solo lane focused style, and we'll see how it stacks up against the scaling comp from XL.
Here we are, week 3 already. Game 6 for both these teams. 2-3 currently, and the scoreboard. Still a very hefty middle of the pack here in the LEC.
As Quickshot says, every game matters.
Every game matters. And it, you know, as much as that point was very much hammed up on the desk, it is important if these two teams are going to be racing each other for middle of the pack playoff spots or bottom playoff spots like 5 and 6, beating the teams that you're going up against is very, very important. And obviously, we don't know who those teams are yet, so it's pretty easy to say every game counts. But if these are two teams that are competing for 4th, 5th, 6th, then it will be a big deal to find this win.
I think a lot of teams with new players especially, I like to think are quite realistic, right? So you come into the league, you can see like Rogue and G2 very clearly a cut above everyone else, right?
Yep.
So if you beat them, that's nice, but you don't come under the assumption that you will beat them during the regular season, right? So instead, these are the games that really matter because they're teams that are very beatable from the perspective of both sides, and getting that win could not only help separate you from the pack, but also when it comes to things like tiebreakers and contesting for those spots towards the end of the split, these wins really do matter a lot, unless, of course, you have the power of a god on your side and you can make miracle runs happen. But, you know, those are kind of a little more exceptional.
Yeah, a little hard to get your hands on these days.
Exactly.
We only got one deity right now at this moment in time, God Gilius. You'll get to see him play versus Rogue later today. For now, though, Dan going for a bit of a power clear here has started. It looks like leashless in the jungle, whereas Razork did get a bit of support from his jungle. That said, Olaf's clear speed is insane. Very hard for the Pantheon to match. As we see Small's trade down here in the bottom lane. And honestly, Vedi, I'm surprised to see Aftershock and not Phase Rush coming in for VandeR. That feels like he's prepared for early scraps instead of that infinite mobility that's so nice in the mid game.
I understand the Phase Rush, but I so much more prefer the Aftershock. I think that it really does just get in your face and you... not a fan?
But you go so fast. You push all of your buttons and then you leave, and it's such a good feeling. You're like, my job is done. It's like, you didn't do
You're like
anything.
Sonic, but you're a cow. It's
infinitely better. They've trashed that franchise. Reboot it. He's a cow now.
Well, he's not going to be doing that. Instead, he's going to be tank cow, you know? And for the early laning phase, I think that it makes sense that he's going to be playing a little bit more on the defensive side. I think that Xayah plus Leona, very powerful, especially level 2, level 3, especially with the Kai'Sa when you're going up against that, you kind of want to play that respect. In the top side, though, I imagine that Jayce can look to be a little bit aggressive when he knows that his jungler is pathing up towards the top side. And I think that it is worth talking about how HiRit, they are putting their trust in him. When he was on the Camille game, he was into an Renekton, and it was Odoamne's Renekton, too. And so he was really bullied. He really didn't get as much of an advantage as his team would have wanted, but he played for his team. He TP-ported bot. He really tried to...
Malphite, not the Renekton, right?
No, he played into... He was... When HiRit was on Camille, he was playing into a Renekton, and then he made the TP bot play as well. He did the same thing on the Malphite. He made that same play twice. So that's why I always think of him as a very team-focused player. He's not someone that gets a lot of resources. But on this Jayce, you have to get a lot of resources.
Well, and I think it's a really good point when you will hold that thought, as we might see a potential engage here, just fighting over a bit of vision between Tori and Patrik. Because last week we did see that investment. We saw HiRit as Camille into Volibear up against the likes of SKA, get an early gank, get that first blood, but then make a single small mistake on wave management, fall behind 15 CS, and suddenly find himself in a position where, oh yeah, there's a reason that people like the Volibear into Camille matchup. It is quite strong, and this time around it looks like he's been left to his own devices to build a lead on his own, kind of as expected, but we'll have to see if he can keep that up, because single mistakes are very costly on this champion.
Well, it's important to note as well that Razork was pathing up towards the top side, so in the event that anything did happen, like, it's kind of jungler and top lane are working in tandem here. Top laner gets pushed, which makes it easy to defend that jungle scuttle crab, but also you have the, in the event of a gank, he's there to immediately respond. Now, VandeR flashes in.
Oh, no! But the flash coming out from Patrik is just a little bit too clean. That means they're going to get the punish here, and that's going to stop the gank in its tracks. Well played by Patrik. He was about to get punted right back into Razork, and that most surely would have been a dead Xayah, but manages to make it out with just a trade of songs.
Yeah, it was a good flash there, as you rightly said. I'm surprised to actually see this gank. I thought the Misfits would just leave this lane to its own devices, kind of keep the wave going back and forth, but the fact that a flash is now gone for Patrik definitely makes things a little bit scarier for the XL bot lane, and now they have to show a little bit more respect to Kobbe and VandeR, who actually have a bit of a CS advantage here, and VandeR going to stop Tori from freezing the wave as well, so that whole wave is going to get lost to the tower.
Ooh. Now going in now.
That's why I love the Alistar into Leona. It's so good. Really, really good stuff. The knock-up just as the E came through for the interrupt. Well played there from the Misfits bot lane.
Yeah, and overall, of course, the thing here is that they definitely come out on top in terms of summoner trades. Getting the AD flash for the support flash, especially the support, is a Hex flash to Alistar is positive, but it does mean Razork gives up a little bit of time that he could have been farming. You see that now in the jungle CS discrepancy, as Olaf is about 2.5 camps ahead.
Yep.
We'll see what Dan does here in this early game. You know, we saw the Udyr game up against G2 where it felt like massive CS leads, good objectives early, but didn't transition into much else. This time around, he's got a bit of a CS lead. It looks like he will be able to take an uncontested Cloud here, but can he get more? Can he start to snowball for XL?
Well, I think that from XL's perspective, they don't need to snowball anything. I think that they do scale quite well. You know, we talked a little bit about this in the draft, where a lot more responsibility from Misfits comes on getting their solo laners ahead, which is why I was quite surprised to see this bot lane gank. I would have thought that Razork would want to path back up towards his mid-top side, want to be here in the event that there was an opportunity available to them. Now that Kryze is 6, setting up a dive against this Cho'Gath becomes a little bit scarier because of the ultimate, but with the wave stacking, Razork is looking for it. Let's have a look at the mid wave very quickly. Is Vetheo... No, he's stuck underneath his tower, so this is just a 2-man push right now. Olaf is on the way as well. Let's see if they can pull this one off.
Only a Doran shield. Kryze doesn't have the chance to back. He's low on mana. The TP's now coming in, but it is a level 6 Cho'Gath. Stun now coming in. HiRit on the follow-up. Dan trying to punish in the meantime. Level 5 will walk to the level 6 Jayce. Still strong overall, but Czekolad on the way forward. HiRit just going to get statted down here, but they donate the kill over to Czekolad. And overall, 1-for-1 trade, burning a lot of resources on both sides.
Okay, so this would have been more ideal for Misfits if they could have gotten the opportunity for Vetheo to be able to roam up, but instead he commits the TP. That draws the minion aggro, keeps the wave alive. Oh, and now they're actually going for an all-in on bot.
Punish, they should have TP advantage here as well. This is a little bit of an overstep from the side of VandeR. Good roam coming in from Kryze. That's going to be one dead cow. And XL, solid punish on the bot lane aggression.
And this is huge for the bot lane matchup as well, because now the wave is pushing towards Patrik and Torre. Will Kryze lose a bit of farm? Yes, but look at what Czekolad is doing in the top lane. He's pushed that wave in. No freeze is going to come through, but Misfits not slowing down with the aggression.
Pantheon on the way in. Common Spear going to connect in the meantime. Just to jump in onto Patrik. That's going to be one. They will not fish for a second, but just kills traded back and forth across the map.
So what was an initial mistake from VandeR that gets rightfully punished by XL with a good use of the teleport and good lane assignments, immediately responded to by Razork. Really great stuff from both sides. Let's have a look at this side. I think this is a big overcommitment. They know that Dan is here, but they commit to it anyway. They think, hey, the TP's coming through, we can make this dive happen, and they get this kill, but they have to accept, okay, it ends up being for one. And as you rightly said, because the TP was unavailable, they actually thought the top wave would be fine. It was going to get stuck underneath the tower and then the Jayce could just catch it. And here they think, hey, we can go for this, but as you already said, Drakos, it was an oversight. They didn't realize that Cho'Gath still had the TP and could commit to it bot. And the moment that this TP comes through, this trade is not a good one for XL. You can see that with the wave in its place, it makes sense why Misfits go for this trade. It makes sense on paper, but they then get punished by that TP. And then, of course, we do see the Pantheon ult come through. No flash from that earlier gank onto Patrik. And that means an easy kill comes through from Misfits. So that was really important, because that wave was in a very awkward spot for Kobbe, and he could have lost a lot.
VandeR gonna get knocked back here. Level 4 still, just absolutely deleted. And that right there, caught in a position he absolutely shouldn't have been. And Torre stepping forward to punish so quickly.
I like that we're seeing a lot of action, but XL need to be careful. Like, they definitely have champions and tools to be able to fight in the early game. Leona, Xayah, Olaf, still all very strong early game champs that you definitely can't afford to underestimate. But if you give champions like the LeBlanc these picks, if you give the Jayce these kills, these solo lanes can definitely start to snowball out of control. But for the time being, XL's doing a great job. They are a little bit behind in gold, but they'll get themselves the Repelled. They'll be able to use that to be able to balloon the gold lead in their favor. They can funnel a little bit of gold into pretty much whoever they want. I'd love to see it funneled into the Xayah so that she hits that kind of strong first item spike much earlier on, but they can also do it to the Azir to try and keep up pace, or maybe even be a little bit ahead of that LeBlanc.
Well, and as you heard earlier today from Candy Floss, they're very aware that Patrik has been, for the most part, the primary win condition of the team, so it would make a lot of sense for them to funnel gold into him. That said, there's action all across the map. Kryze, Czekolad, both stepping up in a big way here in this early game, and it really adds up when you compare this to just the general status quo for XL early games. They have not been great overall, falling behind on average. 2-3 scoreline makes it, not so unreasonable, but 0% on the first tower ratio. Kill death ratio at 15.69. While it is nice, it's not a good look overall.
Yeah. Statistically, XL are definitely on the lower end, and they have been struggling. We're looking for an identity, and right now, Misfits are trying to shut them down.
Silence onto Razork. Keep in mind, it no longer blocks tower damage, so Olaf now going to barrel forward. They're going to shoot him down instantly, though. The turn back is here. It has more than enough damage to punish. Kryze, though, fishing, trying to get a little bit more down, trying to get into that nom range. Isn't quite enough. It doesn't able to do it. No, just enough life coming in from HiRit to survive.
Oh, my word. That was so close, Kryze. If he could have gotten that kill and traded 2 for 2, that's really good for XL, rather. The fact that they were able to stop those solo laners getting those kills. Let's have a look back at this. So Razork has the ultimate again. Love how proactive Razork is being on the map with this Olaf, but Dan is here. He sees the potential dive and he's ready to answer. Comes through, Razork takes a bunch of tower shots and they're able to get that initial kill, but you can then see the burst coming out from this Jayce. And at this point, Kryze is like, okay, I could disengage or I could turn this into a 2v2. I know my tower's going down anyway, let's commit to it. And you can see how close he was. I'm not sure exactly how much HP HiRit was on, but holy moly, was he not just an inch from death.
Triumph potentially looking quite nice there, as well as the red buff here.
There it is. Look at that.
Now the total gold certainly looking good. Keep in mind, there's also a tier stack in that's well on the way to the Eclipse as well. And XL, they're ready for a little bit more blood here as they're going to push Kobbe and VandeR back. And can't we even Razork is in second. Patrik and Czekolad just a little bit behind, but overall, very solid.
I mean, yeah, I'm impressed with Razork. I think that he's been able to find ganks while also keeping up in farm. Of course, he's a little bit behind Dan, but even still, he's doing a great job. And again, it seems that he is ganking when his ult is off cooldown. And I love to see that on Pantheon players. Yep. Really good utilization of the ultimate and how long range it is and can be. And the fact that they're moving Vetheo on the map as well. They're not keeping Vetheo locked up in this isolated 1 versus 1. They're trying to bring the mobility and power of the early game LeBlanc and influence the rest of the map with it.
Shock Blast is going to go wide. That said, Vetheo for now locked under his tower as they will use the Herald mid, donating more money into the pockets of Czekolad, who is about to the 1 item point as we now see Ocean Drake coming in. We'll find out what Rift it's going to be as we get later into the game. With Jayce's TP right around the corner, we could see a bloodbath here in the mid lane as Czekolad almost one-shot, but a nice dash out means VandeR is caught in no man's land. He'll use the ultimate to get to safety. Razork blocking what he can with the Aegis Assault, and the fight will stall for now. Both sides backing away just to fight for mid lane priority.
So that was a misposition from Czekolad that was capitalized on by the high mobility champions of LeBlanc and Alistar. If it wasn't for that quick slide and glide from Czekolad, he may very well have lost his life, but XL will have to give up the dragon for now. Good punish there from Misfits that they're going to try and equalize the dragon score with.
Solid start. Mountain Rift coming in as well would feel very good, actually, for the side of XL with that Cho'Gath and Leona on their team. But both sides not going to feel too bad about it. As Czekolad returns to the top side, Mythic items now completed, and Gore Drinkers coming in shortly. You have to imagine for the Olaf, but one already in the back pocket of Razork. Alongside that Eclipse, Misfits are spiking pretty hard.
Yes, they certainly are. They're still waiting for these first few items to come through, but they're getting there, and it's at that one item where XL really need to be cautious. I think I want to see them take their foot off the gas a little bit, try and slow the game down. They know they have this big scaling advantage. They know that if they can just keep the fights towards these Drakes and keep this as a win condition. But Czekolad does have flash.
Ocean's 11, Kobbe waiting in that bush for almost a year, is going to get knocked back. Already used the ultimate though, and Dan's in the area. Maybe a bit too trigger happy on that one, but here comes Pantheon. Why not just burn it all? The flash coming out from Czekolad. I'll say worth, but Misfits going to want to hold off on fights until those ultimates are back off cooldown.
They get the flash out from Czekolad though, which is going to leave him susceptible on a side lane. You can see that they're trying to keep him there. It's just wave clear duty pushing out, but he wasn't expecting Kobbe to be sitting in the bush. Coordinated attack there coming out from Misfits, looking for that pick. We're not quite able to find it, but they will likely get a couple more plates, and Razork now playing around his strong side. Have a quick look at the mini-map, and you'll notice that in the bot lane, it's being pushed up. HiRit does have the TP as well, so he's kind of free to roam around the map, and this is what makes XL very uncomfortable right now. The fact that HiRit is sitting in fog of war. They have to respect the fact that they will likely be at a numbers disadvantage, but the Cho can TP whenever he wants to. So that's why we're not seeing anything too aggressive from XL. They're just kind of holding the line for now and waiting to get information. Where is HiRit? Where is Vetheo? What are these two solo laners up to? And there, they've got information now. The pings will come through. And now XL can make an informed decision about how they want to move on the map.
For now, it's a very calm game. Kryze wanting to get a bit more farm under his belt. Makes a lot of sense when you look at the itemization available to him. So far, just the plated steel caps and a Bami's Cinder. Would like to finish some tank items before he has to go toe-to-toe with that Jayce. Jayce, of course, at this point of the game, now that he has one item completed and the tier stacking up, should be quite easy for him to win out in that individual 1v1. That said, Mythic items now completed for both AD carries. With Serrated Dirk as well, it does mean that Kobbe should have the upgraded Acathian Rain. So his 1v1 threat very high relative to the Xayah at this stage. But for most part, carries are farming, supports and junglers roaming as much as possible to try to lay down some vision as Razork starts up the Rift Herald.
All right, so considering the state of the map right now, I think the Misfits feel pretty comfortable because their solo laners are strong. HiRit in particular is very powerful on this Jayce, which means that he always gets priority on a side lane. And that's what you want. You really want that on a Jayce, because if the Cho'Gath was able to hold him, then it becomes a lot harder for Misfits to really do anything. You know, they're kind of gated into kind of playing into XL's hand. But now, this part of the map, or this part of the game, is where they have the most agency and where they can look for picks.
Double dash in, Snare going to connect.
Oh, very nice.
Follow-up. Kobbe can leap in. Acathian Rain, isolated target. Perfectly timed, too. He gets the evolve and finds a kill within 1 minute. That's what you want to see from the Misfits side.
Some nice LeBlanc mechanics there as well. He knew that the chain connected, and he had a good setup from where his ultimate placed him to allow him to stay within range to land. And now the TP comes through, they're looking for more blood.
Pantheon on the way in, trying to lock down Patrik where the feather is going to go. Patrik leaping up into the air. The chain will not connect initially. Vetheo the backstep for Patrik, trying to get one kill, but no. Razork coming in to take him down.
So many kills are so close for XL, but they do not amount to anything. And this is the problem with globals. Drakos, they can be suffocating because every time you try to make a play somewhere else on the map, suddenly everyone is there. The TP's, of course, helping as well, but let's have a look back at that initial pick. Vetheo utilizing the lack of vision that he knows XL don't have here in the river, and then see that quick dash that keeps him in range of the root that allows Kobbe to then follow up immediately. So they get that quick pick, and you think that the action's over. XL's like, oh, they have multiple people in mid. Oh no, my friend, not quite. The TP flank comes in, the Pantheon ult is here, the rotation from mid lane as well. beautiful stuff and great aggression we're seeing from Misfits to try and keep the pace of the game in a high state to try and keep this snowball going.
Yeah, an insult to injury right now is that Patrik, obviously trusting in his own mechanics there, flashes in to get the E follow-up, hoping to just one-shot Vetheo on the callback on the Feathers, but isn't able to do so. So in the process, where he was most certainly dead, hoping to make it at least a 1-for-1, does not pan out, so he does lose his flash in addition to going down. And you can see this is a difficult game for Patrik. Plated steel caps. That is not Berserker's Greaves. This man knows that there's a Pantheon, that there's a Jayce, that there's a Kai'Sa, and that he is very much priority target #1 if he missteps. And honestly, every time I play AD carry and I have to build a defensive item, I already feel like I've lost the game, Vedius. That Jayce Shock Blast certainly makes it feel like even more of a reality.
Like, you don't realize, but Misfits have a poke comp, right?
True.
LeBlanc, Kai'Sa, Jayce.
Pantheon empowered Q.
Okay, that's pushing it a little bit, but yeah, sure. I think that...
AD Kai'Sa W beats Pantheon Q? Okay, come on.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, that W lands, she all ins, that's kind of poke anyway. But LeBlanc, Jayce, at the very least, very powerful poke champions. The fact that LeBlanc can just sit in fog, appear out of nowhere, chunk most of your HP, and then dash back to safety is really what makes it terrifying as a champion. And when you synergize that up with the Jayce, looks like the Vetheo has found Kryze.
He tries to flash. Instant flash out to safety as Vetheo is going to be forced back here. And you would hope that Cho'Gath could be this immovable object under the tower that says, if you dive in, I'll just silence you, but unable to get into the right position to do so. And now we see Czekolad pushing on the side lane. No TP, keep that in mind, but he does have a lot of side lane pressure and a big wave behind him to try to maybe get some damage down here. He's going to back away. Good vision to support him on this push means that he is not going to get punished for pushing that far.
Yeah, quite right, Drakos. He also has the turret there. I like that from Czekolad. He knew what his limits were, recognized that he couldn't really do a lot in mid lane, so instead he tried to trade elsewhere on the map. XL only at 1 towers to Misfits 3. They've been able to take all the outer towers. They have firm control over the Drakes for now, and that Mountain Soul starting to stack up. And this is where things for XL, they need to just play the slow game. They realize that at this point they are behind. Trying to fight, especially against this comp at this point in the game, would be dangerous. And they need to force Misfits to come together into a place where they can get that 5v5 that they're looking for. Things like Baron, things like the Dragon Soul will be great places for them. But one of the things that I love and that we've been seeing a fair amount from European teams is when it comes to these Drakes, split push comps can actually just abandon them because the pressure doesn't fall on Misfits to secure the 4th Drake. The pressure is on XL to deny that soul from Misfits. So when you're in a split push comp and you're at 3 Drakes or you're at soul point, you can sit there and go, ooh, look, there's that 4th Drake that we're going to go for. Are you going to stop us? And they're like, oh yeah, well, we have to stop you. And you're like, okay, we'll go do Baron then. Or we'll look for a pick on a side lane, or we'll do whatever we want. So that's what's so scary about these split push comps, having that so much control.
Oh, Razork pushed back, but Czekolad is actually going to be the one who's in trouble. VandeR leaping in, but a flash out from Czekolad, keeping him safe for now. Misfits collapsing. Torre most certainly will go down there, and a big pick to start things off. Keep in mind, no big objectives for Misfits to take off the back of that, just a kill.
I really like how Misfits are using their TP, but you are quite right, because they don't convert it into much right now. It is questionable whether that investment was worth it, because that is the TP top lane from HiRit, which is super valuable and can't match Kryze, but XL have double TP now. So even though Misfits have been able to find that pick on top lane onto Patrik, and now this pick on bot lane onto Torre, those global access are going to be less available, of course, until Veteo's TP comes back up in just a few seconds. So you can make the argument that, yeah, maybe that TP wasn't worth it. Perhaps Misfits are also looking at it from the lens of, you know what, we have 2 solo laners who can both TP flank, and our second one is going to be up by the time our next Pantheon ultimate is going to be up. So screw it, let's just take the free kill, let's just take the money, and let's take the vision control that we can get off the back of it.
Yeah, and snowballing all of these carries, you can see Jayce with a fully upgraded Muramana, an extra serrated Dirk, and has the Eclipse as well. Olaf on his way to 2 items, and Kobbe finishing that Collector too. So things looking very good for Misfits right now. Important to note, generally when we look at poke comps, it's like if they get Baron, the game is over. We can't 1-3-1 against the LeBlanc, Jayce, like Pantheon. It's just not. It's not a realistic thing to ask XL to do. That said, Misfits comp isn't great at taking Baron. They do not have a true tank outside of VandeR. They have some pretty good sustained damage in the form of Kobbe, but most of the rest of their damage is burst, not usually good for taking that down. So they're going to need to find a bigger advantage to actually be able to contest this major objective if they really want to use Baron as a way to end the game.
I mean, that's the cool thing about Misfits comp, right? It is very snowballing, and it's like a poke-pick comp, right? They have so many... Oh, no, that's not
back.
good.
Czekolad, no flash. VandeR, very slow.
Snipe. Woo! Glides out of that one. Nicely done, Czekolad. He's just trying to go back to base, guys. Leave him be. looking to complete his second item, but that's some very good and scary damage coming out from HiRit. He's sitting on a lot of lethality right now. And the Ionian boots too, really contributing to the amount of damage. And, well, not the damage itself, but the rotation of spells,
the amount of times he can throw that damage out.
Yes. Ooh, now the mid-jungle combo has found a target. Or not. Gonna leave the dinosaur go on this one. It's also the new Cho'Gath skin, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It is. The scroll skin. And Betty, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I look at this game, and I'm glad, you know, good on Czekolad that he got out there.
Okay.
But I'm concerned.
About?
You know? Because Excel, they're doing that thing where they're chill and they get to late game. And I feel like that's Excel are in their element right now. And I would normally be like, oh, you know, 2 dragons for Misfits, that's really good. It means Excel can't play around that win condition just like you mentioned earlier. But I feel like Misfits are slowing down a bit, having trouble upping the tempo. As I say that, though, Caster Curse, now they're fighting back. Kobbe on the backside, though. He's the one you have to keep your eyes on. It's so far just a 1-for-1. HiRit in the area. Vetheo on the backside, though, in the middle of no man's land. Pantheon all going in, though. Feathers fly, the leap in, the knock up, the take down. No Aegis Assault to block that one out. Kryze going to grab a kill back, and Misfits getting horribly punished for that engage.
So I was going to say that I think that Misfits have actually been playing the game really well so far. I think that they've been able to find good picks. That I like the way that they've utilized the teleports. I think this has been one of their biggest mistakes that XL are now very happy about, because that soul point is going to disappear. The Drake is now going to become a much harder objective to contest around, and instead Baron is going to be a much bigger priority, or at the very least it's going to give XL more time to scale up. Azir is going to be able to reach his 3rd item. They're going to have more tools in their kit to be able to disengage from Misfits. And like, you can see it, right? Like, Misfits, when they play like this, it's hard for them to just play straight up front to back. The amount of utility that XL have, the amount of disengage that they have, it is very strong, especially when in these situations. So when we have a look back at that replay, we'll probably see that Misfits just overcommitted. I think that they weren't in the right position. It wasn't the best TP location for Vetheo. Let's have a look back at the whole setup here. So you can see that XL already have mid-prio, so the LeBlanc is nowhere near, and HiRit is moving up 2 base. So they commit onto the Leona as 2 people, and while Kobbe can follow up, the reality is that VandeR just ends up dropping much faster than Tori, and that probably caught them off guard. They realized that LeBlanc flank was coming in, but then Kryze acts as a zoning tool, so that flank path doesn't exist anymore, and XL have a way to disengage. And I don't think that that Pantheon ultimate was a bad one, because he realized that Vetheo was in trouble. So the best thing you can do there as Razork is actually just try and draw attention. I'm going to get into the skirmish as well, so that they can't just focus you. Unfortunately, that also put him in a situation where it cost him his life. So, yeah, Misfits, I think, they kind of underestimated how tanky the Leona was in that situation, and how much they could really get off the back of that play.
And for the side of Excel, of course, their composition getting stronger. And while we look at Olaf, the champion who wants to run into you, the rest of Excel's composition fights so well when you're retreating. That said, Tori definitely needs to retreat now. Czekolad moves forward, a good stun, Aegis Assault to block the follow-up damage, and the flash out from Razork in the end. Now Vetheo in the middle of the entire team, but not really getting anything done. A lot of pressure there. Maybe they feel comfortable to threaten Baron, but don't really have the health bars to do so on Vetheo.
Well, they, at the very least, will be able to get vision control around some of these entrances. They can clear out Baron Pit, they can clear out the river, they can push in the mid-wave. HiRit is here. Oh, they are just going to do it. At the very least, maybe they can get some TPs out, but I think committing to this play is a risky one.
Core Drinker on the Pantheon. He's a little bit tankier than expected. Now Vetheo dashing over the wall, but Excel have spotted the bluff. They have no reason to contest this one any further. That control ward in the pit really stops any kind of threat from the side of Misfits. And overall, Excel holding on pretty well, all things considered. Does not feel like a 4K gold deficit. Well, right up until that shock blast hits Patrik for half his health. And then you're kind of reminded that Jayce might be a little bit strong.
Yes, he is. 2 lethality items are finished for him. Now Excel gets to, they get their turn as Misfits kind of back off, look to reset. They get to reclaim. They have to invest their vision to reclaim their vision control, and it's that whole vision dance back and forth. The good news for Excel is that Misfits didn't get deep vision in. HiRit very close there. And now, once again, we see the contest over mid-wave. XL have double TP, so I'm a little surprised, but they're actually just going to fight it.
Kryze blocking as much damage as he can. VandeR in the midst of the entire team. A bit of true damage coming in from the Olaf. Kryze about half health, but Razork getting burned even faster. That's going to be the Gore Drinker, not quite enough to keep him safe. The Jarum's not there either. And Misfits just getting picked off as Tori just barely living. Locket of the Iron. So Laure coming in clutch.
So What I will say is that XL recognized that in a 5v5, Misfits don't want to fight them. Did you see how hesitant Vetheo and HiRit were to commit to that fight? That's just because with their comp, they know that if they dive in, they're going to get demolished. So XL, they were just like, okay, we just hit whoever is in front of us. They are not going to be able to tank us for very long, and that meant that Razork, without his flasher, was an easy target for them to be able to take. Thumbs up going out from Vetheo as he face plants the wall.
And a big thing to note here, and we'll keep an eye on Kobbe's build as we move later in the game, but if Kobbe doesn't build a Nashor's here, they are almost entirely a physical damage team. And that means that Cho'Gath getting this Randuin's, getting those plated steel caps, getting a little bit of healing reduction too, it will be very hard for them to shred through. Yes, Kraken Slayer, it kills tanks. Well, as I said,
I was going to say, LeBlanc does a lot of damage too.
Yeah, but if like LeBlanc blows her entire combo on the Cho'Gath,
I mean, sure. I mean, like if that's what she's doing in a fight, that's not ideal. But I think that prior to a fight, it's not that bad. Her cooldowns are quite low. It's true. I'm not against it. Depends. It's all contextual.
Yeah. The setup is definitely difficult. I think the big thing, Vedius, is if we keep seeing small, wins here, 2-for-1s, 1-for-1s on the side of XL when they're in this kind of deficit, that Baron is a real option for their comp. They have a tank. They have multiple sources of sustained damage in the Xayah and the Azir. They eat Baron alive. So really, Misfits have to give respect to that potential win condition from the side of XL.
I mean, they certainly do. I think that XL have a lot of control of the objectives right now, and that last fight was really influential. That's where the momentum swung, because again, even though XL were behind in gold, it was that story about the dragons. Imagine a situation right now where Misfits was at 3 dragons to XL's 1. XL would feel a lot more pressure to contest this, which means that they can't then control like much more of the map. They're kind of in this very awkward spot, but because it's even in Drakes, like they're the ones now that get the driver's seat. By securing this Drake, they then put pressure on Misfits, and then XL get the team fights that they have been looking for.
If you walk into this Cho'Gath Leona, you are not setting yourself up for success. Eyes on Patrik, though, and Czekolad, the big sources of damage. Olaf certainly will be no slouch either, but the 2 hyper carries are the ones you need to watch. Split fight for now. LeBlanc TPing into the mid lane, looking for a fast flank here as Olaf will grab that dragon, but Misfits want to start the fight anyway. An immediate silence comes out from Kryze. Vetheo over the wall. Czekolad could be in trouble.
Good fight.
They don't spot him out. The dash from LeBlanc, they're waiting. He sees his opportunity. Czekolad with the pushback, not quite enough though because the Banshees is there in time, but Vetheo just getting shredded. XL just grouping up. They are unstoppable. They are a column of meat. They will not be cut down, and Vetheo just poking them from the outside, but not nearly enough damage here to find any purchase.
Wow. Misfits walked into XL like the animals walked into the Ark. It was just like one by one. They were just kind of lining up, waiting for XL to just cut them down. Patrik is going to get himself another one as well. That will be the ace.
All right, we read a very different Ark story growing up. That's all I'm going to say. But now, XL are set up to do this Baron. There is no one here to contest them. It is 9 seconds for Razork. He can Hail Mary. He can come down with that Grand Starfall and pray to steal this, but it does not look like...
But why are they trying to fight? They have double TP. They know that they play the side lanes better. They should be trying to split the map up, trying to create these other points of pressure. Forget the Drake. Instead, just look. Razork goes in. VandeR then goes in. But like a really good ultimate from Czekolad along with the Zhonya's just buys a bunch of time. But XL's just like this clump that is just focusing one target at a time, and there's nothing that Misfits can do about it. And I think that they should never have tried to commit to this fight, because that's exactly what XL want, and XL's like, okay, we'll take this, we'll happily swing this game back in our favor, and now, after what was a 4K gold deficit, I imagine we're going to come out of the replay and see that they're the ones now with the Baron and in control of the gold lead.
Oh, and Vetheo. Insult to injury there, some emote spam coming out too on the back of that ace, and it is a Baron power play. XL, you said it, Betty. Dead even on the gold now, 3 Drakes. It's their soul point for Mountain Drake, for the Cho'Gath. My God, things have gone from bad to absolutely awful for the sides of Misfits. They need to hold on here as best they can, but Betty, it doesn't get easier. There is not really much of a front line for Kobbe to hide behind, and XL, they are perfectly set up to fight.
Razork just used the ult.
Forward VandeR, though, that's 2-man. They immediately going to delete Patrik. That's exactly how Misfits want to start the fight. They have so much damage, and there is no front line there to block it. Even the Olaf is not strong enough to survive in the face of 5-man strong on the Misfits. Kryze going to buy as much space as he can, but the rest of the team forced to retreat, and that Baron advantage instantly deleted by the side of Misfits.
So I think it was XL with the mistake this time round. Kryze doing what he can to try and get to safety. He has the Baron-empowered recall. Let's see if he can escape. Ooh, Vetheo looking for him. He's going to get the root.
Good damage coming in, though. They're going to...
From Kryze, yeah.
Here we go. Godzilla. Let's go. He will go down. It takes 4 people. But Kryze will drop.
Okay, so that was definitely a big mistake from XL. I think It's ironic that they played the 1-3-1 and then it was Misfits that forced a 5v3 fight in the mid lane to be able to punish XL. And I think it was, they recognized that they had all their TPs up, but I would have preferred like a 4-1 setup here. So again, I'm just going to very quickly draw your attention to the minimap and how like Cho'Gath just pushed out the wave and is now walking across, but XL has pushed us 3 men into the mid lane. And like this just, it's just asking to be punished from Misfits, and I think it was a really smart decision. But yeah, XL, when it comes to their map setup, they need to be creating 2 points of pressure at the same time, because remember, their comp is strongest when they are together, not when they're split apart. And so Misfits saw that window, they looked for it, and they were able to very quickly get a couple of kills. And now that Baron, effectively worthless. So the game returns to a neutral state, and even though Misfits have a gold lead, remember, this doesn't suddenly make it an easy game for Misfits.
Yeah, and while we talk about scaling is very black and white, obviously there's a ton of execution that comes into it, but I think right now, XL, while they're still comfortable, we can see the power of Misfits' composition in that if they are able to focus their cooldown on a single target, they will one-shot anybody on this XL team. So if they catch anyone straggling, if they find a quick engage from a flank, they still can come out on top in these fights. But if they have to fight XL on XL's terms, it is nigh impossible for them to win. But here we have, yes, the hopes and dreams. Bit of a roller coaster here for the fans, I think, in this game.
Oh, it's just a funny graph. Thank you for the introduction. That made me laugh. Here is the Misfits Canyon.
Okay, Razork gonna tickle the Cho'Gath.
So again, we're now in a position where Misfits feel pressure to contest for the Dragon Soul, because the fights are only going to get harder if they give it up. And XL's like, great, we're going to contest for this mid-prio. We don't have teleports, and I would love to see Misfits right now keeping 4 men in mid, trying to contest, while they have someone like HiRit split pushing in bot lane. You know, he has the TP, he can be threatening these towers, and he can create just more points of pressure that XL have to be worried about. But instead, they're staying grouped up, which is only a good thing for XL. They're just going to wait for that right moment. The level 18 Czekolad, even though Torre has no HP, I mean, maybe that's enough, actually. Maybe that is enough to zone XL away. They've been able to get good poke off.
Yeah, credit to XL for finding one of the few targets where the poke will actually stick. Torre, not enough tanky stats and no real regen or lifesteal to get him healthy. So it looks like XL don't want to risk anything on this Drake. They know they don't have to gamble. They will have to fight on the next one, but they're just going to take the extra 5 minutes to wait up, to scale up, and look for a better opportunity to fight. And it makes sense when you see that Torre was within one-shot range for most of the champions on Misfits' side.
I mean, we talked about it, right? Like, Misfits comp is like a poke pick comp, and we really did get to see some of that poke come out. I wasn't paying attention as much as I should have been to how much HP Torre had. I was too much looking at the map state, and I was like, surely this is a bad fight.
Well, you see the spears and the shock blast hit the Cho'Gath and do 2 damage. I was caught off a little off guard by how much they did to Torre, but of course, supports on this patch, you're allowed to buy 2 items, folks, and then you get no more gold income for the rest of your life.
Yep. Medic was talking about it. He wants to invest. I don't know if it's that smart, though.
Yeah,
because
you know, like, it's pretty hard capped at 2 items, guys. There's not a lot of upward potential for the support investment.
It made me think about Maokai support. You know how Maokai support was like a big thing for a little while with Imperial Mandate, plus I always forget the name of it, Demonic something or other.
Demonic Embrace.
Demonic Embrace.
Yep.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's really good. And then I was talking to someone like, do you know how expensive that build is? And I was like, wait, no, how much is it? Like, it's this much. And I'm like, wait, support's gotta buy that? And like, yeah, no, that doesn't normally. I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
As long as we're talking about support item, we'll check in. VandeR has an extra Kindle gem. That's where most of his money has gone. He won't get any extra from his support item. So unless he gets a few kills, there's not going to be a lot there. But we're very close to a Zeke's convergence. It has been changed since last season. But basically, if Torre immobilizes someone, his AD carry hits extra hard, even harder than that LeBlanc hit Czekolad. So something to watch in the fights to come.
But that's that poke that we were talking about, you know? Kind of appears from Fog of War. You're like, whoa, that's a lot of damage. Then suddenly she teleports back to safety, and you're like, that sucks. Why did you do that? And there's not much they can do about it. Czekolad going to be forced to commit his TP. I think this is good. Look at the minimap, though. Going to very quickly bring that up. And you'll notice that there is pressure coming in the bot lane, and now it's going to start coming in through the top side as well. It's not working, is it? It's not.
It happens every time.
If you guys look at the minimap, you can see that in the bot wave there is pressure, and in the top wave that is starting to mount up for Misfits. But XL don't care. They care about the river control, and they've caught Razork.
Razork caught out. Kryze just running forward, though. Kobbe doing good damage when he's isolated. That said, the knockup is going to connect Kryze now in the midst of everything. HiRit on the backside. They're holding on for now. They've split XL up, but Razork has been caught out and will be deleted. That's going to be a jungler gone, but no, Gore Drinker. It's so powerful, it buys a little bit more time. There's a GA there as well. Vetheo leaping in. They forced out all the major defensive cooldowns, but Misfits, they don't have enough left in the tank to continue to force the fight. It is XL coming out on top. XL set up now for another Baron.
XL just keeps soaking damage. They don't care about the poke as long as it's going on to the right target of XL. And XL's like, yep, we're just going to keep soaking this up and we'll just keep going to this fight. Torre looking for Vetheo, not going to find. XL need to reset. I like this from Kryze. Get back to base, you have your TP, maybe catch some of these waves as the rest of your team pushes out mid and start going to threaten the Baron. The problem is they've spent so much time contesting this midway. Razork is 20 seconds away. He has his ultimate up and he is going to contest this Baron. Or if they can interrupt Kryze here, this will be huge for Misfits. Oh, close
timing,
enough.
just close enough. Now the TP coming in 5K, getting lower. Cho'Gath has the feast up and available. Can they get it? Can they find the miracle steal? But no, Cho'Gath takes it away. Vetheo on the backside. The rest of the team getting a fight kicked off on their terms. Misfits now retreating. Second Baron of the game for XL as Vetheo runs for the hills. Kobbe on the backside. They're looking for a split fight. They're looking for their opportunity, but Czekolad goes golden, buys a bit more time, and now Kobbe's caught in the face of the Cho'Gath. He goes golden himself, and he's going to get taken down, but instantly it's Razork on the backside. HiRit and Vetheo still alive. Vetheo now has to run as HiRit is instantly deleted. Razork getting shredded down as well. Patrik is just unkillable. The beefy boys, the perfect front line for this squishy Xayah, and XL take everything.
And once again, XL take control over the game with the Baron in their back pocket and 3 members left alive. They're looking to run it down mid, and they may very well look to crack the base of Misfits.
Flawless performance. And sadly, for Misfits, it was scattered, but XL perfectly picking their targets, making it an easy fight for themselves. The Baron is here as well. Vetheo going to try to land some poke, but it's...
That is a Kryze ult. That was a Kryze ult plus a Danny. That's all that was.
Yes, it was. But if LeBlanc doesn't build any more tanky stats, that's going to be a one-shot next time that happens.
Oh, they might not have time because XL's just looking to end the game.
VandeR getting shredded through, damage burning, Vetheo trying to do what he can, but Kryze is just about unkillable. Patrik uncontested now taking the damage. Kryze stepping forward, they're going to look to hit the Nexus, they're going to look to end the game. Vetheo taking one, Kobbe moving forward, but it's too little, it's too late. XL will take the win.
Well played from XL. It is crazy how the game swung in XL's favor after Misfits made one mistake around the third, fourth Drake. They were looking to secure themselves their 3rd Drake in the game at the very least. And if they had gone it, this game could have looked very different. But that's the risk you run. When you have this comp, it requires really crisp execution. And XL, they kept it simple. They kept it straightforward.
Well,
clump, fight. And they did a great job.
And all I'll say is, as we've learned in week 1, and as we've learned in week 2, and it appears that we will learn one more time in week 3, clump and fight, very good. Clump and fight, very good in the LEC.
But I mean, I will say that Misfits had a great early game. I think that they moved around the map very well. HiRit was extremely strong, but you know, a lot of the times we were asking like, why aren't they using their TPs? Well, actually, I thought that they were getting a lot of good picks. It was just like, again, I could have put so much focus on that. That one moment, they went for one bad fight. And the moment you have one bad fight against this teamfight team, and you don't have that threat of a Dragon Soul, then all of a sudden, they're the ones that get to dictate the pace of the game. And even though they were at a deficit, I think that XL recognized that, and they just had to wait. They waited for their moment, they struck, and then they held on to the game after that.
They did, and they took it home in the end. Kia player of the game at LEC on Twitter. Kryze, Dan, or Patrik are your options. Hard one. Honestly, don't know. Kryze suffered the most, but Patrik probably did the most damage if I had to guess. Mad Lions, though, they're coming off a 2-0 weekend. They're going to try to keep their momentum versus SK Gaming coming up next.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, movement that inspires.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings. welcome back to the LEC Xayah. Pick up their first win here in week 3. And Kryze, first question for you. Did you have fun today? Because between the mid laners jumping in on top lane and the matchup you had against HiRit, didn't sound so much fun.
I mean, no, it wasn't really fun. I think they focused a lot on top lane this game, so I did not have a lot of fun this game at all. But I think it's meant to happen when I picked Cho'Gath into Jayce, so I kind of expected it.
It is the point of the champion, and after all, it takes 4 Misfits players to take you down later in the game, so I guess it's fair. But tell me more about the matchup against HiRit, because it's a player we've been talking about a lot, whether he's helping the team or not being very stable for now. But how was it playing against him, especially with Jayce?
I feel like he's for sure one of the upcoming top laners. I feel like he could easily be one of the best top laners in EU. They play really well around him, so I have high hopes for him. I think he's better than people think.
Okay, sorry for cutting you. I have a delay on my side, apologies. And yes, he's a very promising player. We're very looking forward to seeing him more in the LEC. But focusing now on the game, Vedius highlighted the fact that Misfits threw around the 4th Drake. I want to know how the situation was for you guys before that. Did you see any hopes in this game?
I mean, it looked kind of doomed because Jayce got really ahead, right? And I was kind of sprinting it down the entire game. So I'm glad my team could have my back and carry me this one. But we never gave up. We was so hope in this game. Because we knew escape
That's
and
the
them.
spirit I want to hear. Oh, awesome. And you know what? Maybe you run it down this time, but next time you'll get to carry them. But I know that Xayah had some early game issues over the past couple of weeks. Is it something you're working on? And are you seeing any improvements, whether it's on stage or in scrims, maybe?
I mean, I think we're struggling with early game a lot in scrims even. We usually go like 2k behind at 15, which is a disaster. But we're working on it all we can, so hopefully next games will be better.
All right, keep it up. You still have many games to go. And Kryze, thank you so much for the interview. Good luck for the next game tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back in a few minutes with SK versus Mad Lions. Stay tuned.